Last week I was talking about if you're already retired, how do you think about when to go back to work and under what conditions would it make sense to take another job? And I got a question from Jean Philippe where he says, is it worth it? I'm probably 3 to 5 years away from fire if I wanted to, but I'm scared that I've been working 9 to 5 so long that I can't appreciate anything else in life. And I thought this question deserved a longer response. So I don't think of retirement as being too old or too lazy to continue working. I've had to defend this position for a long time because most of my friends don't want to retire early and they get kind of confused when I say that this is one of my big life goals. I think their first thought is that somebody who's retired is just like too old or too lazy to continue working, and that's why they retired. Like kind of maybe the way a professional athlete retires, or typically like somebody who hits 65 and is getting their social security or pension or something retires. For me, retirement has a totally different meaning. It means that you're no longer optimizing for money. It means that you're on the financial scale, you're set. You're okay with whatever happens. And now you can optimize your life for other factors, which there are actually very many, but almost everybody in the world is primarily worried about money. And this is, I mean, it's unfortunately the reality of the way the world works. Like everybody is mostly born with no money and mostly spends their entire life working to make money in order to live. Maybe it's good because money is very fungible and you can do whatever you want with it, and so having more money is almost always better than having less money. But it's definitely true that there are diminishing returns on happiness as a result of having more money, and at some point you have to decide if your money is worth more than your time, or your money is worth more than your health or your relationships and things like that. And so once you start approaching that number, whatever it is for you, of financial freedom, you can start to optimize more for the other factors in your happiness and still reach your financial goal ultimately. To address the concern he had about not being able to find a better use of your time and energy once you've retired, I think this is a good way to look at it. This is based on the work of psychologist Martin Seligman, and he found all these categories of things that people care about. And this is from interviewing tons of people and kind of categorizing what things they actually care about, what things make them happy and fulfilled. When I think about Jean Philippe, he is probably feeling very fulfilled in his career and finances because he's on a path to financial freedom and retirement in a few years, and things are going well. So he's got those parts locked down. He's probably done well in education, and a few of these other things. And so I'll put the link to this in the description. But basically, all you do is you go through here and you fill out on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your perceived importance of each of these factors in your own life? Which ones do you care about the most? How much time are you spending on each one in a week? How many hours per week are you spending on each of these? And then what is your perceived satisfaction with the results that you're getting in this area? How are you doing towards your goals? And it doesn't have to be like finances, for example. You don't have to be rich to get a 10 in this. But if you're on the path to getting rich or on the path to being where you want to be, then I would say give it a high rating. If you're putting a lot of time into it and not getting the results that you want, then that might be a lower rating. This is just some ideas of things that might be important for you that you might not have thought about or you might have been neglecting in your life. What I found for me, and probably for most people in their 20s and 30s, is that career, education, and finances are overwhelmingly taking up your time and mind share. So once you get those things handled, then you can look at some of these like maybe slightly less important or, less urgent things that will definitely make you happy and fulfilled, but you just don't have the time or energy to work on them right now. Try this out. Let me know what you think. The other thing that I said about retirement was when I was working, I had all these ideas about what I would do when I retired. I had huge plans, big dreams. It could be like travel the world or become a great artist or build your own house or like all these huge things that you could do if you didn't have to work. I'm sure everybody has their own. What happened for me was that list was so long that it seemed like I would never be able to accomplish all of it, even if I retired at age 25 or something. What I realized was just having the freedom to pursue these things was enough to satisfy me. I didn't actually have to take them to completion. There's a lot of stuff that I always thought I wanted to do, but then when I started doing it, it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be, or I found that I scratched that itch pretty quickly and I didn't need to pursue it all the way. For example, my first 3 months of retirement, I was all in on marathon training. At first, I thought I want to be as good as I possibly can be at the marathon. And if things are going well, then I want to try to get an under 3 hour marathon time. It turned out after 3 months, I was pretty happy with where I got to. And I didn't need to pursue all the way to 3 hours, which may have taken like 2 or 3 years of training for me to get there. So that was a really good experiment to put everything that I had into it for a few months and see how that felt and see if that was something that I wanted to continue. Because I always thought it would be great if I had time to dedicate my whole time and energy to this, but I didn't know how long I would want to do that for. So the reality was it was not as important to me as I always thought, but I feel super fulfilled having at least chased that goal and figured out for myself if this is if this is like my life's calling. And it's surprise, it's not. I'm not going to be a professional marathoner. I'm not going to be doing ultras probably, but I feel very happy that I gave it a shot. Same thing about starting a business. So I've been thinking very long and hard about starting a business. I've always wanted to. Well, so I have started a business on the side when I was still working, but I've always thought like, okay, it would be great to start my own company and do things the way I want to do them and set up a company that has all of my values baked into the company and all this kind of stuff. When that really became a real possibility, I actually had to confront a lot more concrete things about the business, like what is the business actually going to do? How big is it going to be? What kind of customers are you going after? And all this kind of stuff. That's all kind of stuff that I never thought about when I was working, and it was more of a dream than a possibility. I think my overall advice is quit your job sooner than you think, because a lot of these things, these like relative values of importance, they may change as soon as they become more of a reality. I think for me, values shifted a lot when I was not working versus when I was, because when you are working, you are so focused on certain tasks that you don't have a clear idea of what life will be like after you're done working. You kind of have to live it to figure it out. And that's why I think you should definitely give it a try. And the worst case is you just go back and get another job. The worst case is you are in exactly the same place as everybody else. So don't worry about it too much.